The saddest Hollywood career falls you were never told about. What happens when the applause fades, but the person is still standing? How does someone go from being the face of Hollywood, on posters, magazine covers, award stages, to becoming a name people vaguely remember, or worse, completely forget? Tonight, we look at 3 stories that were never just about fame. They were about dreams, pressure, and the quiet cost of being seen by the whole world. Karen Black, Ryan O'Neal, Linda Blair, 3 stars, 3 different journeys, 1 shared truth. Hollywood doesn't always protect the people it celebrates. Karen Black, the chameleon who couldn't escape her own success. When Karen Black first entered Hollywood, she wasn't built like a typical star. She didn't arrive with a studio-crafted image or a carefully polished identity. Instead, she arrived with something rarer: range. Born in Illinois, she studied acting seriously, eventually making her way into theater before breaking into film in the late 1960s. Hollywood was changing, and Black became one of the faces of that shift. Her breakthrough came with Easy Rider, 1969, where her performance captured the counterculture spirit of a restless America. Then came 5 Easy Pieces, 1970, which earned her an Academy Award nomination and cemented her as one of the most compelling performers of her generation. For a moment it seemed unstoppable. She followed with The Great Gatsby, 1974, Airport, 1975, and a reputation for playing complex, unpredictable women, roles that few actresses were being offered at the time. But behind the success, Hollywood was already moving on. By the late 1970s, the industry had shifted again. New faces, new trends, new priorities. The kind of character-driven films that made Black famous were no longer the focus of studios. Work became less consistent. Then came television, then smaller films, then even smaller roles. At the same time, she faced personal and financial struggles that were later widely reported, including difficulties sustaining stable long-term income from acting. Unlike the glamour of her peak years, her later career was defined by persistence rather than spotlight. In her final years, Black continued working whenever she could, often appearing in independent productions and horror films, long after mainstream Hollywood had moved on. She passed away in 2013 after a battle with cancer. Today, she is remembered not as a forgotten actress, but as a symbol of an era when acting talent didn't always guarantee stability. Ryan O'Neal, the golden boy who lost control of the spotlight. At the height of his fame, Ryan O'Neal was everywhere. Before acting, he was a boxer and lifeguard, but Hollywood saw something else in him, a classic leading man look that fit perfectly into the 1970s film landscape. Then came Love Story, 1970. Few films defined a generation like it. The role earned him an Academy Award nomination and turned him into one of the most recognizable actors in the world, almost overnight. He was young, romantic, and tragic on screen, the kind of character audiences didn't forget. Then Paper Moon, 1973, showed another side of him, earning critical praise and proving he wasn't just a one-role star. But fame at that level comes with pressure that doesn't fade when the cameras stop rolling. Behind the scenes, O'Neal's personal life became increasingly complicated. His relationships with his children, especially actress Tatum O'Neal, became strained and publicly documented over the years. Legal issues, emotional conflicts, and public interviews painted a picture of a family struggling under the weight of fame and expectation. His long relationship with actress Farrah Fawcett also kept him in the public eye for decades, but not always in ways that reflected professional success. As the years went on, major film roles became less frequent. Television appearances and guest roles replaced leading man status. Meanwhile, personal struggles and health issues added further difficulty to an already unstable career trajectory. Later in life, O'Neal faced serious health challenges, including a diagnosis of leukemia and prostate cancer, which were publicly confirmed in the 2000s and 2010s. He died in 2023. Today, he is remembered as a man who once defined romantic Hollywood masculinity, but whose personal life often overshadowed his professional legacy. Linda Blair, the child star who became too famous too fast. Some fame arrives slowly, and some arrives overnight. For Linda Blair, it arrived in the form of horror. At just 13 years old, she starred in The Exorcist, 1973, one of the most iconic and controversial films ever made. The role earned her an Academy Award nomination and instant global recognition, but it also placed her at the center of a cultural storm. She was too young for the level of attention she received. Interviews, media scrutiny, and public fascination followed her everywhere. She became not just an actress, but a symbol of a film that terrified the world. After The Exorcist, Hollywood struggled to place her beyond the image that defined her. Typecasting became a real challenge, as audiences and studios alike associated her too strongly with that single role. She continued acting throughout the 1970s and 1980s, appearing in a range of films and television projects, but none reached the same cultural impact. In the late 1970s, she faced legal trouble involving drug-related charges that were widely reported at the time, adding further media attention during a period when she was still very young. Unlike the narrative of total collapse, Blair's story is more complex. She never fully disappeared, but she did transition into a different kind of public life. Over time, she became a strong advocate for animal rights and shifted her focus toward activism alongside her entertainment work. She remained active in film and television in smaller roles, often embracing her legacy rather than escaping it. Today, she is remembered not as a fallen star, but as someone who survived the intensity of early fame and reshaped her identity beyond it. The weight they all carried. 3 lives, 3 different paths. Karen Black, who embodied artistic transformation but struggled as Hollywood changed around her. Ryan O'Neal, who reached the peak of leading man fame but couldn't escape the pressures behind it. Linda Blair, who became a global icon before she was old enough to understand what that meant. None of these stories are simple tragedies. None are clean collapses. They are human trajectories shaped by an industry that often moves faster than the people inside it. Fame doesn't just elevate, it demands continuity. And when that continuity breaks, what remains is silence where applause used to be. On a reflection. Hollywood has always been built on light. Bright screens, bright premieres, bright faces that seem permanent in memory. But light fades faster than people expect. And sometimes, the saddest part isn't that a career ends, it's that the world stops looking while the person is still here, still living, still remembering what it once felt like to be seen by everyone. Because in Hollywood, fame doesn't always disappear when the story ends. Sometimes, it disappears long before the person does.